I just wanted to say thanks for watching the couple of videos that I've made so far. And young people, thank you for encouraging me to do YouTube, Google Hangouts live. Um, Secondly, appreciate the folks that have been emailing me or calling about the Labor Day message about remembering a missed story, and the missed story or the mystery of heck. See, you get some message and it just pops up in the screen and you don't know what's going on. So apologize. The missed story, the redneck war, the missed lady, Mother Jones. I mean, there's a lot of mystery about matriarchy and women and power. Men are so scared of this women thing. But let me tell you something I saw that I really like. I'll be very brief. I was in this car accident and I still don't have a police report. It's been, and I don't know the man that hit me. I don't know his insurance. And to say I've had a headache, I got hit in the head. And, folks, this will be short because I've had a headache and I haven't, and I've had this on my mind to do this video, but I haven't had the physical ability. And I just said, screw it. I've got to get a message out because I love you very much. And some things have happened since Labor Day that I want to talk to you about. So in that Labor Day story, I said, remember, we got to remember mysteries, and the mother. And when we're remembering something, remember what I said, we're remembering something. It's because these heavy taskmasters in this, I call it corporate master. You can call it the bankers or whatever you want to call it. They dismember the family of man. And I talked about this humanity, this family of man, is that we are just humans because we're a hue of different colors of different slants of light. So I'm kind of showing some things from Labor Day that I use. But the word I wanted you to know from remember is dismember. Is when they used to draw and quarter a person that wasn't a good citizen. They would cut them into 4 pieces right in front of the whole crowd in the whole city. And holy cow, there went Uncle Tom. He got dismembered. 4 horses drawn and quartered. You ever heard of somebody named Quarterman? I hate to think that his people worked for them people drawing some quarters. But anyway, this is what they used to do. They dismembered people. They just dismembered them. And so I did a drawing of a dismembered body, and I put the body back together because, see, we're finding the missed story. And we're remembering the battle for Blair Mountain, where black, white, and immigrants all fought for labor, a decent wage, and they were breaking bread in 1921. And then I also talk about the revolution. We hear so much about the revolution, but I tell you, be very careful because the word evolution is in there. And you have to be very careful because revolution is really, the root word is revolve. It's a revolving circle or a revolving door, where the word evolve is much more loving, more compassionate. It's about growing and changing and choice, making a choice, okay? So revolution and evolution, it's kind of like remember. It's something that I wanted to talk about because my point is, and we'll be very brief, Black Lives Matter. Yes, they do. Black Lives Matter. I've been real quiet about Black Lives Matter, and then there's been times when I've said in confidence to folks, and I worry about kids that are becoming activists on the on the ground because when I grew up in the 70s, and then people were like locking themselves to the sequoia trees, and or when Greenpeace got started and they were trying to stop these whaling ships, what really happened is these people became ecological terrorists, and they were put on watch lists. And when you understand that the labeling of all of us that occurs, whether your child's autistic or you got AD, I mean, look, it's a herd mentality. And when you're out there trying to change the world, okay, like the civil rights movement, and I was a young child when that happened, every single person now, they have facial recognition. You go into the store like Walmart or something, it'll even say, hey, we're filming you and we have facial recognition. So all I'm saying is I've been very leery of some of the movements, especially with what happened in Ferguson, because back in the day, my great grandfather said they would put provocateurs and rioters. And I had some friends that lived in Ferguson or in St. Louis, and they also told me the people that were looting and burning there weren't even from there. And that's how it was back in the old days. See, corporate master's not changed his tricks. We want to remember this, remember this. But the thing that I've really been thinking about is how can we help each other, right? It's peaceful non-compliance. Now, I've been talking about it because I heard other people talking about it. I don't come up with great ideas. There's all kind of people comes up with great ideas. What I try to do is use and learn great ideas from other people, like Plato. Said marry someone you admire. Okay, so all I want to say is when that man hit the ground on his knee during the national anthem, what was wrong with that? That was the most profound thing that could have happened. Now I'm going to tell you something. A lot of white folks, it's like myself, sit on the sideline. But we also know a lot of white folks that been killed, like Sandra Bland. And then I'm going to tell you a name, Richard Odom. This man died in the early 1980 or late 70s in Jacksonville, Florida, in the Duval County Jail. And he was a poor Irishman. So let me tell you something. Back in the old days, it wasn't long ago, they had a box when you applied for employment said Irish American, Italian American, this, that, and this is when I was a little girl. And now they just say white and black. So it's harder for us older people because we have been disregarded and disrespected, especially if you go in there, and I don't want to say Germans, but hey, don't let them Swedish people be in management, or the Swedes or the Germans. I mean, because if you Irish or Italian, you're not getting a job. I don't care if it's today. Because see, I remember, and these people haven't forgotten their racism. So the kneeling at the NFL game was the most profound thing I have seen in a long time. And I want to tell you something. There was a young boy right here in Brunswick, Georgia, that knelt during the high school. And I think it made the newspaper. And this is a little small town of about 17,000 people. And I think that boy should be commended. And I told my daughter, who teaches at the high school, I said, you know what? Every person in the stand ought to kneel, because this country ought to be ashamed of itself that it's still allowing Baldwin, Phelps, thugs, detectives, hired flesh traders that are just trading people's butt on the stock market for prison bonds and lynching or killing them in jail. And this ain't just here. This is in England. This is in Native Americans. Think of their death rate, honey. And think of Australia, the originals. They call them aboriginals because they want to deprive them of their original truth that they was the first ones here. But you know how many of them die in jail in Australia? See, Black Lives Matters because it's bringing attention to the fact that we don't have a police force that defends and serves. It kind of prioritizes and profiles poor people. And don't care what color you are. I mean, yeah, there are more disproportionate blacks dying, but God bless them. Thank you so much for kneeling, because guess what? I can get behind that. And I told somebody the other day, and it was, I think, with my daughter, I don't care if they're playing the national anthem in Walmart. Watch here. It's a big knee. Ooh, see, I get down on my knee. I get down on my knee. Please, Lord, just stop it. Just have a system change, that we can change a world that all of us can live in. And thank you, Lord, for that football player that kneeled during the national anthem. Because this country should be ashamed of itself. Ashamed of itself. And I don't want a world, and I don't want to leave a world. She didn't want to leave a world. My people didn't want to leave a world. Your people don't want to leave a world like this one. So for God's sakes, people, get off your white butt and kneel. Because you know what? When you kneel, you're showing compassion. And guess what? I love it because it's peacefully non-compliance. It's peaceful. Man, that's the best place I ever found, down on my knees. I'm telling you. So, heck, I'm so hopeful today. So, I hope I brought you a little encouragement. I hope that you will kneel. I hope that you will understand that, especially like in your little hometown football field, like this young man did here in Brunswick. I'm so proud of him. I don't even know who he is, but I love him. There's one white woman in America who's kneeling, and her name is Gina Brown. And you know what? I'm so glad that I had a chance to send you this message, even with my headache and even with no police report, because we know the police ain't got a real clue about how to serve the community, or I'd have had a police report where I could be getting my car fixed and stuff like that. But you know, I'm not going to complain about bureaucracy and things here, because the message today was Black Lives Matter. Thank you very much. And white people, let's start remembering there's a bunch of poor whites that's died. Sandra Bland, Richard Odom. I remember, and I'm not forgetting. So don't forget the story. And when you go to decide whether you want a revolution and revolve, or you want an evolution and grow, remember that this word right here is in there. Okay? It's right in the word. Revolution, evolution, voluntary. See the word volution? Volution of your own volition, of your own choice. Just choose to grow and choose to love, and we will have a compassionate world worth living in. And don't judge others, because they are.